from him, despite all logic pointing the other way, and so people defend it at all costs.
Holdo not telling Poe her plan, do you genuinely think that that's, fine?
Yeah, that doesn't bother me at all.
So, would your reasoning be because she doesn't trust him?
Yep.
So why doesn't she tell anyone else?
We don't know who she tells.
Okay.
Right?
Why doesn't she tell him the plan once he knows that the transports are being fueled? What difference would it make?
So it might feel like I'm needlessly bringing in Mauler over and over again, but again, this is in his actual video. Even though it's called TFA in a critique, he brings up Holdo again, and Just Right is his intended target. And he brings in two arguments, which are not very strong arguments or even arguments at all. So the first argument is, why doesn't Holdo tell Poe the plan? And Just Right says, I just don't care. It doesn't bother me. And of course, for Mauler, this is a real problem. And despite what he thinks, there are responses to it. The first one is pretty obvious, that Holdo just is Poe's superior. She doesn't have any necessity to tell him the plan at all. As a military superior, you're not obligated to tell your subordinates anything. That's what makes you the superior. So, and I don't think Holdo is a good character. I don't think she's a bad character either. She, just does seem like a big plot contrivance. But in terms of the film and being fair to the story, that's her psychology. Why she has the psychology she does or has this distrust, I don't know and I don't care. But there's a perfect consistency into why she's acting the way she does, and her not telling him the plan is not a problem. But let's look into the story world, Mauler style. Is there a reason why she might distrust him? And the answer is yes, we get that right away. Namely that Leia gives Poe a direct order saying, I need you to leave. And Poe completely disobeys the order and sends in the bombers. And it's great, they get rid of the dreadnought, but he did disobey an order. So she has reasons that even if I give you an order, you're going to disobey it. So if I tell you, keep this quiet, I have a reason already established in the beginning of the film, in a huge sequence. You tell him something, he may do the complete opposite. So her paranoia that he may tell the plan and endanger the plan is justified in the plot. But then he brings up the second argument with Just Right again, saying, why doesn't she tell him the plan later? Even when it doesn't matter. And this is kind of typical of Mauler, that he contradicts himself, but he doesn't care, and he thinks he's made a point, but he hasn't made any point at all. But just because he says something, he thinks he said something substantive or cognitive, but really he just said a lot of words, but they don't have any meaning. So it's like, well, if it doesn't matter, why would she tell him the plan? If it doesn't matter, why does it matter? Why are you bringing it up? That doesn't make any sense. But he says she needs to tell him. And we're back to, why does she need to tell him? And it becomes because Mauler thinks she needs to tell him. And if she doesn't tell him, that Mauler has a problem. And we now have a response thanks to his pillow merchandise hawking enterprise that, well, it seems like somebody could say independent of us that it seems like you want to keep finding reasons to be bothered because it's financially in your self-interest to keep being bothered. And when good critics like Just Right or myself don't find a problem, that is a problem, because it seems like, well, if you have a problem and these other intelligent people don't have a problem, then is there a real problem or not? And the answer is no, there's not a real problem. He's just manufacturing problems because maybe he honestly sees them, or more unfortunately, because he has a financial reason to keep finding problems, because that's how he stays in business. It's like he has to keep finding thousands and thousands and thousands of problems. Which is not to say that The Force Awakens or Last Jedi don't have problems. They clearly, legitimately do, but they don't have his problems. So this has been a very short trek once more back into the Holdo critique, which still doesn't hold any water. Why he's putting this in The Force Awakens, I have no clue. Why he's attacking Just Right, again, I have not a clue why this is there or how it belongs or its appropriateness, but, he did the content. I'm just responding to it. Alright, this has been Star Wars Analyzed on Mauler's continually bad critique of Holdo, the sequel, and it still doesn't mean anything. Alright, thanks for listening. Please be safe. Hit the like button if you can. Thanks.